One, we are still on plant studies, and now we are on mineral nutrition and plant nutrient uptake. We did major macro elements, and now we are doing minor macro elements, right? This is secondary nutrients. These macro elements are required in large quantities or large amounts, but are usually naturally present in sufficient quantities, right? We have magnesium, we have calcium, we have sulfur, right? Let's look at magnesium. Magnesium uses constituent of chlorophyll, activates enzymes for carbohydrate and protein metabolism. With sulfur, it increases the rate of lipid synthesis. Okay, so okay, it uses what? It uses constituent of chlorophyll. Okay, it activates enzymes for carbohydrate and protein metabolism, right? And it increases lipid synthesis with sulfur. Okay, it forms. How is it absorbed? Right, forms absorbed. That's Mg2+ ions in soil water, right? Supplements include MgSO and dolomitic lime. We still have, let me see, deficiency. It will result in chlorosis, which is the yellowing between veins, right? That's chlorosis, right? Toxicity not observed under natural conditions. Never seen under natural conditions. Then we have calcium. It assists with activation of plant enzymes, right? That is magnesium. 3.2, we have calcium. It uses what? It uses stabilized membrane structure, makes cell walls rigid. It is required for activation of some enzymes. It is used for the development of growth tips and roots, right? So it stabilizes membranes, it strengthens cell walls, it activates some enzymes, and it is important for growth tips and roots. It forms absorbed, okay, forms in which it is absorbed, let's see, A2+ ions in soil water. Sources include what? Bone meal, right? Lime, calcium. Deficiency, it will make what? It will make the leaves chlorotic and curate. Stunted plant, poorly developed roots, poor nutrient uptake, right? So it will make chlorotic and curled leaves, stunted growth, poorly developed roots, poor nutrient uptake. Then toxicity, the symptoms of toxicity, they are rare, right? They are rarely seen, and insoluble phosphate salts form that P deficiency. So but may cause phosphate deficiency due to insoluble phosphate salts, right? Then we have sulfur, which is 3.3. Okay, now it uses what? Constituent of 2 amino acids and some vitamins, activation of certain enzymes. So it is a constituent of amino acids and vitamins, and it activates certain enzymes, not all enzymes, certain enzymes. So the forms that are absorbed, that's SO4 2 negative ions in soil water. Sorry, the deficiency. How will we show there is deficiency? We'll see slender plants, yellowing leaves, decreased growth rate. Slender plants, yellowing leaves, reduced growth rate. Toxicity, it is unlikely, but maybe we can find scratched edge in older leaves, right? It is unlikely to happen, but we might find scorched leaf edges in older leaves. Then the summary of what we were talking about. So that in minor macro elements we have element calcium, magnesium, sulfur, right? Calcium, the form that's Ca to the power 2 plus, right? Function, cell wall structure, membrane stability. Deficiency, called leaf stunted growth, poor roots. Magnesium, Mg to the power 2 plus, chlorophyll constituent, deficiency, intervenal chlorosis. Sulfur, is SO4 to the power 2 negative, and it functions as what? Amino acids and vitamins, right? The constituent of 2 amino acids and some vitamins. Deficiency symptoms, will see slender plants and the yellowing of leaves, right? Then we have micro elements, trace elements, right? These are required in very small amounts, less than 0.1 mg, right? Or a gram of dry matter, right? Because excess can be toxic, right? So we don't want too much access, because we know that too much excess, it might be toxic for our plants. So first things first, we have our trace elements. We have iron. We'll see it with the symbol Fe, right? So iron, it is the component of electron transport proteins. It is needed for chlorophyll formation, right? So it's a component of electron transport protein. It is needed for chlorophyll formation. Forms absorbed, that's Fe2 plus salts in soil water. Ion, chelate in foliar sprays. Deficiency occurs on calcareous soils. Insoluble iron salts precipitate at high pH, right? Um, so basically, deficiency may be intervenal chlorosis on young leaves, and common in calcareous soils that has high pH. Sorry. Yeah. So it starts in young leaves, which show interveinal chlorosis, right? Toxicity, none naturally observed, right? So which means none in natural conditions. Manganese, aspect and the details. So manganese, it is required for photosynthesis. It is the core factor in respiration and metabolism, right? So it is required for photosynthesis and it is a core factor in respiration and nitrogen metabolism. Forms absorbed, that's Mn to the power 2 plus, right, in soil water. And so in foliar sprays, it will be what? Yeah, the same. Yeah, it's the same form. Deficiency, similar to chlorosis, young maize leaves will be yellow and stunted. Reduced growth in apples, right? So it will result in chlorotic young leaves, result in woody stems, brown necrotic spots on seeds, right? Toxic, toxicity, toxicity only due to poor fertilization practices, right? So if we apply uh, our fertilizers in a way that is not according to to a certain practice, then uh, that would result in toxicity. So poor fertilization will result in toxicity due to poor fertilization practices. So which means to apply fertilizers is very crucial. You need to have knowledge of how to apply fertilizer, because too much fertilizer or uh, application in a way that is not recommended might be toxic. 4.3 copper. It is a constituent of electron transport proteins, enzymes that catalyze respiration reactions. So basically it's part of electron transport. It is part of the electron transport for proteins. Also, it is the enzymes catalyzing respiration. Okay, it's part of the enzyme catalyzing respiration. Forms absorbed, that's Cu to the power 2 plus ions in soil water, right? Deficiency, similar to chlorosis, right? Young maize leaves yellow, stunted, reduced growth in apples, right? So chlorosis, like symptoms, stunted maize, reduced apple growth. So basically we can see, okay, the deficiency for for manganese is young leaves are chlorotic, woody, and we have woody stems, brown necrotic spots in middle of legume seed, right? That is for deficiency for manganese, right? And the deficiency for copper is chlorosis, like symptoms, stunted maize, and reduced apple growth. Okay, so that means on that manganese I made a mistake. I swapped the copper deficiency. So for manganese is the young leaves are chlorotic, woody stems, brown necrotic spots in the middle of legume seeds. Then for copper, there's chlorosis-like symptoms, right? And stunted maize. And toxicity is rare. Zinc, it activates enzymes. It is the synthesis. It synthesizes oxime precursors. It synthesis of precursor of auxins. So precursor of auxins. Auxins are what are plant hormones, right? So it synthesis auxin precursors. These are the plant hormones, right? Then the forms are what? Zn2 Zn to the power 2 plus ions in soil water deficiency, chlorosis. Okay, it also has chlorosis. You can see the difference. I mean the similarity. It also has the chlorosis. Yes, reduced growth, right? Reduced growth, brown purple stem stripes in maize. Okay, toxicity, severe stunting, intervenal chlorosis. Exam tip, deficiency causing internal coke in apples and tomatoes is boron. Okay, so if they say deficiency that is causing internal coke in apples and tomatoes, just know that's boron. Okay, 4.5 we have molybdenum. Molybdenum is what? That's the component of enzyme that converts nitrites to nitrates. It is essential for nitrogen fixation by bacteria, right? So that's the enzyme converting nitrites to nitrates. So basically that means this one is important because it helps the enzymes to convert nitrites to nitrates. So which means that this term you will find it in the questions waiting for us, right? Nitrogen fixation by bacteria, right? Forms absorbed, that's MOO4 to the power negative 2 ions in soil. Deficiency results in intervenal chlorosis, right? Let's move on. Toxicity, rare unless over applied. So if you if there is excessive molybdenum spray, then that can result in toxicity, right? So all else equal, it is rare unless over applied. Boron, it aids sugar translocation during carbohydrate metabolism. It influences nucleic acid cell content at growth tips of roots and stems, right? So it's needed for sugar translocation. It influences nucleic acid content in root tips and stem tips, right? It forms the form that is absorbed, that's H3BO3 in soil. Then in supplements, that's borax. Deficiency. What is the deficiency? Apples and tomatoes, internal cob, root crops, brown or black heart, right? So internal cob in apples or tomatoes, brown heart in root crops, stem crack in celery, right? Toxicity common with poor fertilization, and it will result in stunted plants, right? So what you need to note is that nitrogen and boron mostly common toxicity due to poor fertilization practices, and this can result in stunted plants. And then tip deficiency showing internal cock in apples and tomatoes is boron. Okay, we saw this exam tip before. Then cobalt. I think cobalt is the last one. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's the last one. Cobalt uses what? Role as essential micronutrient has not been established. Okay, essential role not established in plants. Forms absorbed, none established. Deficiency, none in plants. Deficiency affects grazing animals, causing wasting disease. So grazing animals, that's those animals like cattle, right? They eat grass. That's grazing. They eat grass, and that will cause wasting disease. Yeah. So deficiencies, none in plants. Grazing stock show evidence of wasting disease or peeling, right? Then toxicity is rare also. It's rare in grazing fields. Um, Tomatoes, chlorosis, very dark green or deformed leaves, right? So tomatoes may show chlorosis or dark leaves.